it happened this way, that pre-revolutionary period, 10 years, with the freedom which they had in the Tsar's period, still they were blamed and people didn't like them, nobody was buying paintings. And then revolution came, 1917. First 3 or 4 years, it sounds like a paradox, you see, but the Bolsheviks became angels. You know, they were helping them, they allowed them to decorate Red Square, there were theaters and here and there. And they were supporting them. Not because they understood them, not because they thought that it is a real art which is needed, but they liked them because of the protest, you see. They protest against the real art which we knew for the 5 centuries. But they consider it a bourgeois art, you see. So they said that we are revolutionary painters, we have nothing to do with the bourgeois art, and it was very good for the authorities.
Artists of the Avant-Garde were swept into the fervor and activity of the October Revolution. Lenin saw that they had a part to play in the new society. The cry was, "Down with art, long live agitational propaganda." So they put on street theater, organized processions and demonstrations. They devised the agitprop trains which traveled the country. They decorated the public buildings. They invaded the cinema and the theater, and they set up political cabarets. For a moment, the energy of the revolution was theirs to use. But soon their luck ran out. A former supporter of the Avant-Garde, the Commissar Lunacharsky, declared that the revolution needed more or less realistic, self-evident expression, saturated with ideas and feeling. In other words, socialist realism. The modern movement, headlong, extreme, argumentative, had alarmed its patron, the government.
They were just like hooligans, you see. Everybody was doing what he wanted, and it was a little bit dangerous. And yet, the people, intelligentsia, middle-class people, still didn't like them, still didn't buy them, still hate them, you see. So for 20 years, more or less, up to 1926, 27, they had a difficult life. They were not selling, and they need money. And the first painter, Vera Pestel, she stopped in 1916. She said to Malevich and Tatlin that you can follow, but I will start figurative art, because I am positive now that nobody will recognize us. A human being wants to see landscapes, portraits, flowers, or something like this, but not those squares and lines which are doing, you see. And she was the first who. Rodchenko, who was well known with that years and very gifted, one of the biggest experimentators in Russia. He stopped in 1921 without any force. So I think that the death of the avant-garde, it's not only because of the government of the Bolsheviks, but both, you see.
The artists gaze out from the formal group photographs of 50 and 60 years ago, facing a turbulent present and an uncertain future. Some, like Lyubov Popova, died tragically young. Others, like Malevich, lived long enough to see the new orthodoxy triumphant. Men like Kliun and Klutzis lived longer, but cut off from dynamic activity. Protagonists in an artistic revolution, names like Lisitsky and Stepanova, became just names. In a dimly remembered and discredited chronicle, their self-confidence wrecked.
You see, I have a feeling that all of them, with one exception, Malevich, who died being sure that he is a great painter and he did something very important. But the rest group was doubtful. They on the end, they thought that the way they have chosen on the art was wrong. And nobody never will accept this art.
These paintings could be had for very little money, and a post with a foreign embassy gave a collector a degree of financial freedom. Nevertheless, collecting in post-war Russia was fraught with problems.
It wasn't easy, you know. There were many reasons for that. As you know, on the 30s, when this art was forbidden, and some of the artists already were arrested and they had difficulties. Then people were afraid and they were surprised why I started collecting. So from the beginning, some of them, they thought that it may be kind of provocation or something. So I had to find some friends to support me and tell them that I am a good man and so on. Then my Greek passport and my position at the Canadian embassy was worse, you see, because the Russians were very afraid of the foreigners, and especially with the man who worked at the embassy. It was very dangerous to do some deal with him. So many times it happened that it was agreed that I am buying this or that painting, and I was going to bring money next day, telephone call, and they said, we changed our mind, we are not going to sell. And this was the reason. Then you had to find the place where those paintings are hidden, you know. So sometimes I spent 2, 3, 4 years to find a painter I was looking for.